Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this Monster Energy DreamHack Studio broadcast of the Nordic Championship summer season of 2019. We just witnessed the first game of Hot Potato between Dusty and Neon Esports, and we're back for game two. Trouble, what a game. That game had everything apart from some crucial elements for sure.
I mean, this game had pretty much everything except a game plan, respectful vision, execution, macro. Everything else, though, was in there. Disrespect for vision, fighting 1v1 when you don't have to, skirmishes all over the game at any time with no real objective, in the distance. It was actually, I don't know about your perspective on the play-by-play, but for me, it was actually really fun to cast. And I just want to see really these teams get, their game together, like go back, reset and say, all right, guys, even for Neon Esports, like, sure, we won, but we need a more clear early game, because if actually Dusty actually were able to properly execute the composition and their plan, I do feel like they would have been able to close this out. But there were so many mistakes. Like when Joachim steals the Baron, there were so many opportunities for them to end the game right there and then. But then above the 30-minute mark, it's impossible to fight with this composition of this that Dusty had against the full late game scaled composition with 4 items on each member.
And Yameru falling behind early on, it's quite remarkable just how strong or just to which extent this composition does come online past the 30-minute mark, because despite being called out, several of these members, despite being called out over and over again, there's still such a force to be reckoned with once they just get a little bit of scaling down, once they get these crucial items with the pickup of that Rabadon's. Man, that's a scary Azir. And with the amount of tools that Rain and Tiara packed with that Karen Barrage also, it becomes so difficult to fight against Neon. So the onus was, as you said, on Dusty to run away with this game early on. And they just straight up didn't. And perhaps these are some of the tendencies that tell us why Dusty have been struggling. But I mean, this is having watched this team now. I haven't seen too much about Dusty in the past, but having watched Dusty, I feel like there are glimmers of hope here, because they had a pretty decent early game. They got some leads on their key members, and the addition of Joachim has been fantastic. Right?
Oh,
They just need to press their advantages.
Stella.
Yeah.
All right, so I do agree with you. There is some glimmer of hope there because these guys are talented in their game. But, there's some things you need to consider when you're in game, such as what is your composition's power spike? Is it early? Is it mid? Or is it late? Clearly, for Darcy's power spike, it was in the mid game where your Corki has the 2 items, including the Trinity Force. Your Kai'Sa was already put in the late game with the items she would have by the time Corki completes the 2 items. And then you go towards, all right, what are my lane priorities? Where can I push my advantage? Where can I not? Until when is my comp viable? So I know when to pressure and how hard to pressure situations. And I feel like both teams didn't really take that into consideration. And Neon didn't really have to, because they were like, fine, even if we lose a little bit in the early game, we will reach that late game in the end, and then we will be able to stomp the enemy team, which happened in the end. You could see that in the team fight, there was no contest of who was going to win. Neon was coming out on top every single time. But like when you're playing usually the more late game oriented team comps, you don't want to give that much away in the early game, because you could end up choking and never coming back.
So with all of these things in mind, as we're heading into Champ Select now, what do you think needs to be the main adaptation for both of these teams, either game plan wise or perhaps in the draft?
All right, so for Neon Esports, I did enjoy the fact that Haru was a more proactive top laner. He wasn't on the karma, he wasn't just a shield machine. He could globally use his ult to get Rain and the bot lane into a better matchup and a great situation. Dusty was disrespecting the fact that Rain can close gap such a huge distance with his QE combo, and they were able to get 2 kills there. Every time Rain was in the bot lane, there was a kill for someone. Usually it was Rain grabbing the kill in the end, but you know what? A kill is a kill. It gets your team ahead. So if you're from the side of Neon Esports, I would say do the exact same thing. Get Haru on something that he can have impact on and not just run from lane to lane shielding people. Their bot lane is gonna go again for something that's very passive. They've always been playing these passive lanes, Ezreal Yumi, Ezreal Tamkens, Zaya Rakan this time. So I don't expect them to go too far from that. But from the side of Dusty, if you're gonna run the exact same composition where you have a super strong early game jungler, make sure you pressure your advantage hard enough in the mid game, especially if you have somebody who's mid game oriented and fed. Then try to pressure from that one lane. I think Joachim was splitting too much of his attention to a lot of lanes.
Oh wow!
Here is your
Look at the
question
chicken
answered from the
bombs.
last time. Yeah.
Yes. We finally get to see it. It's been permabound up until this very point. We can talk how much we want about these lanes, but with the lock-in of Kiana, the fact that Dusty leave it open is ridiculous. This pick has got something like a 90% plus pick ban in professional play with an insane win rate. Sure, Dusty get the Zaya Rakan, but Kiana, there's so much packed into her kit. And you talked a little bit about how you can't fight Kiana in these cramped spaces. So perhaps, Trouble, you can give the audience a little bit of insight into how this champion works and what she wants to achieve.
Well, basically, you can get all different types of elements for your Q. One of them is going to make you disappear, so it's going to make you invisible and sneaky like an assassin. The other one is going to do extra damage, and the third one is going to stun your targets. Usually, what you want to do is stun your targets, change the animal element to rock, and then Q again for that extra pop of damage. Now, if you do fight Kiana in a very cramped situation, in a closed space, and she marks a wall, she pulls you towards that wall, dealing a lot of damage and stunning you against the exact same wall. Now, jumping onto Dusty though, Zaya is a great anti-assassin ADC that can get away from these melee sort of threatening assassins, such the likes of Kiana. Now, how the tables have turned here, Zaya Rakan has gone onto the opposite side, and they were like, okay, Neo's like, you know what, since you grabbed our bot lane, we're gonna grab your top lane. So Haru again on a more non-passive top laner, we're gonna have the exact same
And
top
Nipple,
lane matchup,
yeah,
but with
Nipple
the
saying
opposite
that he can
champion.
play the exact same matchup. I can do it better than you. I'll show you how it's done. Confident locking in that Gangplank, and we talked just how much of an oppressive early game champion the Gangplank can be against these melee characters that are kind of weak early on. But uh, with the assistance of potential jungle Kiana that you mentioned before, it could be mid lane, could be jungle. The Gangplank pick here is extremely susceptible to any form of capitalization by this particular duo.
I would expect right here a Nautilus ban as well, because clearly Tiara did not have fun in lane with bad habits Nautilus, but here the exact opposite could happen, because your ADC here is safe on his own. You've got the Ezreal, you've got the Arcane Shift, you've got your Flash on backup if you need to, so you've got so many ways of getting out of a very sticky situation versus the Rakan. But this time, if you don't need the super defensive support with you, because Kai'Sa doesn't really have any ways of escaping, so you do need the Nautilus there to help you a little bit. I would expect maybe a Tamkens being picked from the side of Neon Esports, especially because you're going to have that Kiana diving into the backline. She can dash back. You can devour her out, and then she can have, another engagement. And of course, bad habit onto Rakan is going to play a huge role onto that. So I feel like a Tamkens is kind of mandatory here for the side of Neon.
Towncast just works in so many different anti-engaged situations. Beautifully brilliant pick if they decide to go that way. And Neon actually leaving one ban open, deciding to only ban the Corki, do not want to target Dusty whatsoever apart from that mid lane pick. And that's a
Oh,
Vel'Koz. Wow, isn't that so risky against something like a Kiana though?
it's one very risky because you're super squished. If you do get hit by a stun, you're susceptible to dying super quickly. but there's also so much range that will separate the Vel'Koz from the Kiana that you will be nowhere near a situation of dying if you just farm with your spells. And he can wave clear so easily and so fast, which is something that Kiana struggles with. So you wave clear over and over towards the Kiana. That means that your Kiana does not get to roam, does not get to pressure other lanes, does not get to roam with Rain in the jungle that could provide a lot of kills with the ultimate. So you keep the assassin in lane. It can't snowball herself. She can't snowball other lanes such as her jungle. You don't die because you're super far away because you're really long range AP champ. That's a win-win for mid lane for Adi.
Dusty are securing themselves a fan in me with these lock-ins. Loving the Vel'Koz pick there, but there's that Nautilus also on the other side, and the Neon Esports draft themselves into a Rek'Sai composition. So there's a very low range kind of draft coming in from Neon. Yes, there are the mystic shots from Ezreal, but all in all, they're going to struggle with reaching people, and are going to rely on perhaps Dusty mispositioning or finding interesting angles, but at the same time, Dusty just have so much peel, so much range without Vel'Koz, with Gangplank barrels, with Zyre roots, and obviously the Gragasult coming in also. I feel like Neon are going to struggle here. They're going to have to play this one really intelligently.
I will agree with you. I would get it if there was some sort of, poke comp together with the Ezreal, maybe a Jace, something that can help, maybe a Lux, but she was banned at this instance. So I will agree with you, it will be so hard since they don't have that hard engaged potential like the Rakan does. Yes, you do have a Nautilus. Yes, you are going to knock up someone, but how are you going to get onto that someone unless, of course, you use up your flash, which is a possibility here because Rek'Sai early game with Hail of Blades, this pretty much tells you the story of what lane you want to be camping, and it is going to be Adi in the mid lane. You want to get Yamero ahead. He is your primary carry yet again on the Kiana. The Ezreal right here is pretty much going to be your feeling damage, kind of poking around, getting somebody quite low enough for the Rek'Sai Kiana combination to go in, while the Ezreal is super far behind and safe from any spells. And you will see, guys, that Adi is going to run the exhaust in this game. So it pretty much tells you the story of Yameru and Rain trying to kill Adi over and over and over again in the mid lane, while Adi tries to wave clear and push Yameru back underneath his tower so he can't run.
So one thing that was lacking in the previous game, showing at least to some extent here in game number 2, it's the respect. Adi running that exhaust, realizing that, hey, he might be in a little bit of a pickle, so he'll just make it that little bit extra easy for himself. And we talk about how Neon, we do have a pause, 1 second. Apparently some lag issues with Neon's jungler, but it gives us a little bit of time in talking about this early game. So we mentioned how it'll be difficult for Neon to truly get to Dusty's carries, but a Rek'Sai can be so creative with these walls and can find the angles onto Ahri quite easily, I believe. So camping them that mid lane, do you really think exhaust is gonna mean the difference between life or death against Kiana Rek'Sai, which is so aggressive and so potent against an immobile mage such as Vel'Koz?
Oh, definitely not. I don't think Adi has any chance if Rain uses his flash correctly to engage onto Adi, because even if you put that exhaust down, the Rek'Sai herself is so strong into the early game with Hail of Blades that can literally take out Vel'Koz in an instant, because Vel'Koz has really, really low defenses. I think the exhaust is there because, let's be honest, Adi is very respectful towards Yamaru. And he has been the person we've pointed our finger at, and we were like, well, Yamaru should have carried the previous best of 3 and he couldn't, but he was able to do it last game in this best of 3, and now he has in his hands a very powerful assassin that Rain needs to enable. And even if Rain doesn't enable it, the whole kit of Kiana gives you so much versatility to move around in the mid lane that Adi feels the need to go for that exhaust. He feels the need to be able to protect himself even from the 1 versus 1.
Adding that extra tool for appeal and damage and negation with that exhaust, along with the entire Dusty roster. So, Neon Esports grouping around with both Haru and Rain sitting in that top side of bush, looking for I don't really know what they're looking for. Joachim to miss position or perhaps a counter gank, but they seem to be looking for an invade at the 1 minute 20
Oh, that's
mark.
sneaky. That's four
Joachim has
people.
moved away. Remember, if they actually start the buff, this is so perfectly timed. Adi gets a free lane in the
Oh,
mid side,
Nippa!
but watch Nipla here. He gets rooted down, pulled in, and that's first blood for Yamaru's Kiana. Oh no, poor
Disaster.
Adi. That's definitely the least favorable card
No!
you want the first blood
Not
to
the
go into.
Wraiths as well!
Oh man, Rain is merciless. Joachim had so much impact in the first game. Rain this time shutting him down. But this is very similar, remember, to the previous game where Rain triple buffed Joachim in the early game, trying to do something similar today.
I think this is exactly what we're gonna see again, because Yamaru is sitting 1-0 in the mid lane. Yes, he hasn't been back to buy yet, but he is very powerful very early. So look at that. He's going from one red buff Rain to the other. He's most likely gonna transition to the blue buff, and Joachim can do nothing about it. So the exact same style. I feel like at some point Dusty should be expecting that this will happen. This is pretty much textbook. That's what Neon is doing, because if you're gonna target one person from the side of Dusty, I would also target Joachim, because he did excellent in the previous game. Even though they lost, his listen play was on point. So if there's one person you want to get behind, that would be Joachim. Now, on the other hand, you do see how Adin is able to put the pain down on Yamaru. If Yamaru wants to wave clear, he needs to take the punishment in return from the damage of Adi.
And Yamaru has the tools available to do so, I believe. And with that first blood, has not been back to spend, as you said, but it's a nice little start here. Meanwhile, in the top side, Haru versus Nipla. It's an early game fight. Nipla was obviously the one who died to first blood, but has the upper hand in these early 1 versus 1. So, you said that Rain might go to his blue buff on the left side, but in fact, he leaves it open, and Joachim has the option to go and steal it away. He has that ward also.
It's a little bit questionable how Rain preferred to stay onto the bot side, but I'm thinking he's just trying to keep bot lane safe. Now, though, he's going to try to transition towards the blue buff, which is something that Joachim is not interested. He just wants to dive in the top lane. There's no wave.
And there
There's
it
no
is. Joachim
wave.
comes in. There is no wave. Haru
Ooh.
flashes away. The turret shot in return onto Joachim, but nicely played there by Haru. He's just fully aware. And honestly, Neon, they saw that one coming from miles away.
It was great read from Haru, because you hadn't seen Joachim in a while. He couldn't be in his jungle, so where could he be? Rain was in the bot side quadrant of his jungle, and there's no way Joachim would be in any of his quadrants of the jungle, so there's only one place that Joachim would be. That would be the top lane, where Haru was extremely low. Now, yes, he didn't strike a kill in the top lane, but he did get the flash and the teleport. So I'm expecting a repeat gank from Joachim. He's done it before. He's tried to put Nipla ahead in the previous game also. And here it's not just about Nipla, it's about getting that AP Gragas going as well. And then grouping up and trying to pull somebody into your team, and as Nipla is taking a lot of hurt here. So you want to pull somebody in team and then actually assassinate them with the Velkers. So Haru right now is sitting way above where he should be. Everything is warded for him, so he does feel safe to do that, but I'm still expecting some sort of repeat gank from Joachim, because they need to get that Mordekaiser behind now that it's still early into the game.
If you take a look at how Joachim approached that final quadrant of the map that had been left untouched, though, he was so hesitant. He was so careful in entering that quadrant of the map. So, yes, it's risky for Haru despite the wards and with the potential Joachim pressure, but this man has been conditioned in the early game by Rain to respect a lot, or else he will be punished really hard. Does
Oh,
find
that's a
himself.
very early dragon.
It is an early dragon. Rain is sitting on it, and it's a mountain dragon also. Ezreal does a lot of work with the mountain dragon with that W onto turrets, which you can proc, and there it is, a cheeky little mountain in favor of Neon, off of all of this early game pressure.
So first, Mountain Drake is gonna go to Neon, and they do get the advantage yet again for themselves. Remember, they're already 1-0 in this best of 3, so it couldn't have been going better. But Joachim is in the mid lane.
In the mid lane, Flash comes in, and there's the ultimate coming in from Adi. Also picks up the kill. Yameru is dead, and Adi should be able to push this wave nicely in there. Has enough HP also to dissuade Rain should he come to try any form of shenanigans. Nicely played. Joachim coming in clutch.
Love that. Yet again, Joachim working for his team, feeding Adi the kill. He's already ahead in CS. He's going to be able to pressure the wave, go back and buy without missing much. Yameru also loses his flash here, so he is prone to getting ganked even more by Joachim. Of course, there's not that flash body slam potential that there was there before, but right now, let's have a look at Rain, because he's sitting towards the top side.
And Rain still has flash, uses it. There's the knockup onto Nipla. Cannon Burjar is there, but Nipla gets dragged straight back into the fight. However, you cannot capitalize on that CC whatsoever, and Joachim is waiting on the wings also. So they're potentially setting up a little bit of a dive situation here. Watch Rain's positioning. He's walking up. Yameru's assisting also. Remember, Yameru with that mobility can take himself over the walls. And the Rek'Sai ultimate will reset the aggro, but he gets killed off by the turret shot on the way out. And Yameru 1v1s Joachim. So it's a sloppy 1-for-1. And with the extended attention up top, Adi finds himself in here. Yameru gets knocked up, gets that disintegration passive there, and Haru banishes Joachim once again to the realm, slaps him to the face, but Adi will be able to find Haru here. The TP comes in from Nipla, I believe. There's a knockup once again, and Haru has just spent so much time here, and we see this thing happen once again in the second game, where the Mordekaiser just finds himself in the middle of the enemy team once he gets out of that Shadow Realm, and oh man, you hate to see it. Haru, despite everything, dies finally.
There should have been a call from his team. The fact that Yameru has actually backed off, he's all the way back into his mid lane because there was a wave pushing. Like, yeah, okay, we got a kill, they returned it, let's all go back to our lanes. I feel like Haru overstayed his welcome a little bit, which puts Nipla now ahead with 2 kills and a bounty onto his head. Something crucial that I noticed in this fight, Adi kept on missing a lot of crucial cues, and he also used his flash and exhaust into this fight. That gives Yameru that window, that potential when these 2 summoners are down to try and assassinate Adi on a 1v1.
Oh man. So the sloppiness continues over to the second game, with these missed cues. It could just be so much cleaner. Perhaps some nerves coming in. Obviously, Adi. Wait, hang on. Meanwhile, in the mid side, Rain tries to find the knockup, patiently waits out Adi's abilities, and just makes quick work out of this tentacle monster.
Okay, that was beautifully done by Rain. Puts down the slow with might onto Adi and waits to bait that knockup from the Valkyrs. Once this is down, that's your ticket for the go, go, go. Gets a kill for himself this time. Actually did in the previous game, I must add, but this time he's going to be playing on the Rek'Sai. Now there's going to be a lot more damage on the full tank Javan he was rocking in the last game. Nevertheless, it is a kill on Adi. Yameru gets another push in the mid lane and lane prioritization, which allows him to move towards Shelly with his jungler.
But there is a control ward in the back of it. Yameru finds Joachim. What? 100-0'd by Qiyana. This is why you don't leave Qiyana open. The amount of damage that this champion packs is straight up ridiculous.
Oh, I don't know if we're gonna be going into game number 3, but if we do, I am expecting a ban towards her, and you definitely don't want to be face checking on your own. Joachim should know better, especially from the previous game. And oh my god, but Harry has different plans.
What the damage from Adi finds the return with that disintegration array. There's a fight going on the top side. Meanwhile, Nipla versus Haru, but he doesn't. Oh, he doesn't quite have the damage. Has the flash for the finisher. Nipla finally dies, and Haru finds it, making it a cross map 1-for-1.
This is usually something you don't see a lot in the competitive scene. Oh my god, bot lane action as well. I was about to say, every single lane is fighting at the same time, and why you usually don't see this in the very professional scenes, such as LCS, LCK, and so on, is because, oh, hold on there.
Tiara?
Ooh.
Oh, has the flash over the wall. Clutchly so. That explosive cast by Joachim would have meant the death. But with the pressure, that means Dusty on the priority for this Infernal Dragon. Which would be an amazing pickup for them. Rain is on the left side. What? TR's positioning also, but surely they can't approach. No, Adi
wants revenge.
Resets. Rain wants that revenge kill, or steal, I should say. But the cannon barrage is just too much pressure coming in from Dusty with that global.
Alright, so usually to finish what I was saying, you don't really see this plays on competitive play where every single lane is fighting simultaneously, because there's not gonna be a reply with a teleport or someone roaming to aid their teammates. So what's going on here is, again, what we talked about, like that disrespect for each other, getting these 1v1s down. Oh my god, Haru fancies a kill.
Haru underneath the turret. Remember, turrets remain in the Shadow Realm though, so Haru perhaps buying a little bit more than he could do, but there's Rain, finds the knock-up. That should be a quick kill. There's the ultimate. But watch Haru. Oh man, the turret shot doesn't come in. It's a 3-man grouping up there. So, yes, the mid lane turret is sabotaged away from Dusty, and the plates are still up, so it's a large gold swing in the favor of Neon Esports.
And it would definitely be the case. Now, the mid lane tower is the one that's the most precious to your team. You can lose a tier 1 or tier 2 top or bot tower and you'll be fine, but that mid lane tower gets you to lose so much of your actual vision around your mid lane, which is also your jungle. So now that Neon Esports have opened the game split, they can actually move further into the jungle of Dusty and get some vision down. And you see how Tiara is working around with his Nautilus, because you can actually leave Azita alone in the bot lane of the Ezreal and he will be absolutely fine. Now, Haru is overstaying a little bit, but I have a feeling he will be fine.
Oh, he is real. Does Nipla have the damage? I don't think so. Oh, the final burn! It's gonna be enough!
Oh, I got it!
Nipla finds it, and Haru. Once again, the disrespect is... we thought the respect was gonna come in for game 2, but it's just not there. Trouble. It's happening again.
I don't know. Rain was all the way to the top lane, so I was expecting... Oh boy!
And on the bot side, Azita dies to a 3-man gang here. Joachim comes in with a cross-map proactiveness once again, and that should perhaps mean a bot lane turret. It's quite low, yes. There's no one to stop it. That's the first turret for Dusty. Nicely answered, at least.
Oh, 100% cast the curse. Azita there. I said on his Ezreal. There's no way he's going to be diving into the bot lane. Well, guess what? He overstays his welcome a little bit further forward on his lane, and there's 3 members from Dusty right there. And this is something that actually happened to Dusty in the previous game. They did not respect the lane gang. This time it's Neon that does not respect the lane gang, and they end up losing their ADC. And together with that, they're most likely going to lose that red buff in the jungle as well. But now you can see that Adi is not that free to farm in the mid lane as he was with the tower. Now he has to be careful of that Kiana flanking from the sides. Oh no.
Finds a knock-up onto Nipla. Nipla, cannon barrages on top of 2 people, but I mean, that's a 4-man gank. Surely he can't get out of that one. Second turret of the game in favor of Neon, but there's the crop map once again. Azitor, are you going to catch the curse him again? Azitor will die.
Oh no.
And there it is. Finally, we just want to give it away to Joachim, I guess, but a little bit risky there. But meanwhile, Neon, they're pushing for that top with the Yameru waiting across the wall. Is that going to go down? I don't think they can tank any further. Nope. They disengage and Dusty makes their way to the defense.
And that makes the bot lane play from Dusty a great play because they don't actually trade a kill for a tower, which have been disadvantageous for them. The tower actually remains up, and Rain is waiting. Oh,
Oh,
Rain.
wait, that's evolution in progress.
He got
Bad
it.
habit.
Got it this time.
Checked.
No face checking. Bad habit finds a wild Rain in the jungle. Doesn't want to check out this push. And look how patiently he's actually waiting again. Waits for his team. One bush at a time to check it. Of course, making sure Hoyes is around so he can get that long range shield if he needs to escape somehow. And back a little bit to the mid lane. This mid lane tower being down unlocks Yamero on Kiana so much because you can roam anywhere you want without any vision pinning you down. And Andy needs to overextend if he wants to pressure Yamero back into his own tower, which makes him susceptible to very easily being ganked by any lane at all.
We see a little bit of a grouping coming in around the dragon, and man, Rain is pushed out of his own jungle here, but honestly, that Ocean Dragon, I don't think it's gonna do much for the state of the game, really. A little bit of a split push situation coming in from Azator there, so perhaps they're willing to trade here, with Azator getting that top inner turret. They don't seem to be contesting it. Rain is looking to clear out wards, but nah, he just straight up leaves. They're comfortable trading this objective right here. Ocean Dragon goes over to Joachim. He is the king of neutral objectives, indeed. And they regroup back mid lane again. So
I feel like an Ocean Drake is really good when you're the team that's turtling, and Dusty have found themselves in the same situation, although this time they do have the kit to go late game. You have that Xayah, you have that Vel'Koz, you have that Gangplank into the late game, and of course you have to huge engage tools in your team that can basically one-shot anyone on the opposing side of the map. So all they need to do right now, that Ocean Drake, sure, it's not the best, but it's not the worst for them, because all they want to do is sit underneath a tower and wave clear after wave clear after wave clear, even though Joachim fancies a fight.
oh, Rain flashes away. Oh, the disintegration, it doesn't reach! Rain hugs the wall. Meanwhile, there's a fight going on in the bot side. Nipla escapes, but what a clutch move there by Rain to hug that wall and dodge out on the maximum range there. Nipla gets CC'd by the CC monster that is Tiara's Nautilus, but should be able to stay comfortably alive as his teammates group mid lane in a what is effectively a 3 versus 2 to try to grab that mid turret, and it's going to go down. Finally, Dusty opening up the map a little bit.
I'm really surprised about how oh boy, Nicholas.
Online horror Mordekaiser though, showing us why that is such a priority pick in this tournament. TP actually, so looking to answer here. Haru should be killed off there nicely by Hoyes, so they answer once again. But I don't know. It's a little bit. It still feels a little bit sloppy to me, Trouble.
It is because Nipla was being very disrespectful to Haru and Tiara, while on the other hand, Rain has found
the
himself
action is non-stop. But Joachim flashes away. Rain. Oh, it's on the Trisha barrage, but the snipe by Rain kills off the opposing jungler. Joachim finally dies at the hands of Rain. Now Rain was the one who escaped. Remember, managed to heal up and trades back, saying, "Hey, this jungle is mine."
I feel like macro and plan might be something that the teams have interpreted into the game into this one. Respect, though, that's another thing we need to talk about, because Nipla was chasing in the bot side Haru together with Tiara with 100% health. Haru Ignite goes down, so he ends up being super low, and then Haru's like, wait a minute, this guy's like 20% HP under his tower, I'm 100% HP, manages to tower dive him and kill him. On the other hand, of course, you need to keep in mind all the teleports that run into the team. Yes, Nipla has one, but he's dead. Hoyes though is holding yet another one, and Bad Habit together with ADC managed to equalize the kills down the bot lane and grab the shutdown money for that Xayah, who's now sitting on 2-0 and 150 gold bounty, plus about 30 CS ahead.
Yeah, the goal leads are there, and some key items are starting to come in with Infinity Edge now on top of the Essence Reaver for Hoys. Zaya now a force to be reckoned with as Trinity Force is finally completed up in the top side. So Dusty are sort of hitting their power spikes here, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I like that Hoys is running this teleport going into the matchup against Azator's Ezreal. It just allows them so much more openness in their responsiveness with the macro movements that Neon can pull out here.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I've never been a great fan of the teleport on the ADCs. Yeah, sure, in competitive play it can work, but these two teams here, they don't really seem to be very respectful of the teleports that are up into traps and
Tiara.
Tiara.
Oh no, it's happening again! The teleport is also being channeled by Haru. I believe Yomeru kills off Joachim, and Bad Habit is in the middle of two people. It's Dusty who are coming in clutch. Haru, though, laying down the AoE for long enough to spread Dusty apart. And Azator finds the red buff Mystic Shot to kill off the fourth guy. It's actually going to be an ace. Rain will be gifting the kill over to... No, never mind. He just claims it for himself. Who cares even? Baron's up. The ace comes in. And Leon are taking control.
Yeah, there you go. Asler is going to TP back in. That is a pretty... I don't want to say free Baron yet, because Joachim has done it again. And
man. Can he make it there in time, though?
I don't know if he has the time to run and be there in time. I don't think so. He's going to try nevertheless, though.
I mean, he's walking there. Wait.
Oh!
Flash forward, but... Wait.
Neon did
There's
it.
no
Neon
way
did it
he got there in
right
time.
this time. Neon did it right.
But
Tiara sacrifices his flash to make sure Joachim does not get into the pit this time. So this time it was done right. What wasn't done right was the crucial mispositioning by Hoys on that Haru teleport up in the red buff jungle fight. You see Haru channeling his teleport, and Hoys was literally standing on it this entire time. Oh!
A quick pickup there. Azator, yeah, this Ezreal with all of this defensive mobility, as you pointed out, finds himself dead for the third time of the game. I don't know. He just gets called out straight up as his team's taking that dragon. However, I mean, I don't think it's really going to change much. Dusty have shown that they're willing to poke at siege objectives if they find a window, but not really commit. So surely, Neon, they should be fine.
Neon should be fine right here because they're also sitting at 6,000 gold into
Yeah, that too.
They've got two crucial dragons. They've got the Infernal right there for the extra damage. You need that, especially when you're running, you know, a sort of assassin in your team. And you've got the Mountain there to take down objectives really fast. And as you could see, the team is not particularly a fast Baron killing team. Sure, Ezreal deals some AD damage, but he's not a Zaya, he's not a Kai'Sa, he's not a Caitlyn. He doesn't really deal hard AD auto-attack damage. He's not a hyper carry. Yomeru, sure, he's an assassin, but again, he doesn't do that much auto-attack damage. And of course, Haru is on the other side of the spectrum where he's more of like the tank-ish. It's like a ghost tank. It's not really a tank, but he can tank if he needs to. So they're not particularly really fast at taking Baron, and so it took them quite a while to get him down before Joachim was almost able to join. Nevertheless, they did manage to secure that. I feel on the other side for Dusty, though, they do have the tools to come back in the late game, but there's going to have to be a lot of turtling and a lot of item completions before they can take any fight.
So perhaps they will need to play the game a little bit intelligently until then. But the Neon Esports, they are grouping mid-side with a split pushing Haru in the bot. Nipplet doesn't seem to be able to wave clear it down, but he doesn't really need to because Joachim is here and Haru does not manage to banish anyone before he gets 3 versus 1. And now Neon will potentially be scared away from continuing this mid lane siege.
But who would you really banish there? If you banish Gangplank, he can get out, sure. If you banish Gragas, he's the one that's actually killing you. So there was really no optimal target to grab into the Death Realm with you. And you can see how much Joachim Gragas hurts at this point. He one-shot Azazel before, and now he shows his true power being able to one-shot Haru before he could even get his Hourglass off.
There's not much time to work with here in these fights. Beautifully played
Oh,
around with the vision available. Nice engaged there by Yameru. Almost finds the stun onto Nipla, but Nipla flashes away and is seemingly fine. But that pick, that crucial pick by Dusty, did shut down the momentum for Neon Esports. And they have to rethink, regroup a little bit, and they're trying to get that bot inner turret, which should open up the even further push objectives here. But I mean, Dusty, they're ready to respond.
I mean, right now they're playing a great game. They're grouping up as 2 or 3 people per lane.
Oh,
They're not trying to
Yameru.
1v1 like Nipla is doing that, but he has backup.
Yameru flashes away. Oh, look at, there's no time at all for these players to work with here. Yameru finds the engage onto Nipla, the cheeky little vision play that he had there in the bush. But the entire Dusty team is right around the corner, right? You just have to respect it.
And I feel like this is where they've gotten their minds together and they're like, all right, guys, to win right now, we cannot pick up any fights. We cannot 5v5 them. That Rek'Sai is way too strong. Haru is way too strong. We just need to turtle, get away all the way to late game, and just don't leave anyone on any crucial 1v1s that could lead to objectives for Neon Esports. Saying that though, and talking about objectives, there's 1 minute, 54 seconds to be specific for the Mountain Drake to spawn, which is something that if you are Neon and you're looking to end the game super quickly because you've got the Assassin, you've got the Ezreal, you want to end the game quite quickly, you need to look to get that one. And on the other hand, on the other side of the arena, 1 minute, 10 seconds, hold on!
Adi gets picked up. Yameru snipes him away with the assistance of Rain. Flash forward, Joachim finds the explosive cast. Bad Habit gets the engage. The quickness comes in. Rain is charmed. The charm by Bad Habit is way too much to handle. Niplam, in the meanwhile, tries to defend his top side. The teleport comes in. Hoyt is in the middle of 2. The ADC in the middle of the support. And Haru with the Rylai's. Surely. Wait, hang on. He gets bopped. It's actually Hoyt who picks up the kill there. Finds the defensive play and dissuades the top side inhibitor siege. But they are leaving Yameru in the bot side.
And this is kind of the awkward situation you're left in if you're an ADC and you're looking to join a fight with a teleport. So you're either going to have to teleport way back out of the fight and then have a gap of time where you're not going to be dealing any damage because you're on the way to the fight, but then again, you're safe. Or you're going to TP straight in the heart of the fight with the fear of getting one shot. Right there, Hoyt uses every single summoner and ultimate available to try and grab a kill onto Haru. Sure, you grab Haru's flash, but I don't really think he needs it as much as Hoyt does at this point.
Crucially though, he does defend the top lane inhibitor turret, cracking the base open for a potential split push of either Yameru or Haru to grab that inhibitor. We've seen that Neon, they like to get that one inhib down in the previous game, remember, and that kept them in the game even against a Baron upped siege and push there by Dusty. So it's very crucial that he managed to defend that one. And now they seem to be regrouping around the second Baron of the game.
Well, they are pinging towards Joachim here, and if there's one person you need to be scared of when you're starting the Dragon, that definitely is Joachim. So if they can get him out of the fight early, then they can actually, rely on Rain to get that smite down. Because let's not forget, guys, previous game, Joachim went in with the clutch Baron still, and he could be doing it again. So this is the time where Neon Esports is like, all right, guys, since we still have the upper hand, maybe we should probably force a fight, kill someone, and then try to force Baron again and again and again. And look at that. They have to reply to Haru split pushing in the bot lane, and that could potentially force his TP, and then all over again. Oh, but Nipla gets cancelled.
Oh, Nipla, it gets cancelled and takes 50% of his HP and damage.
Baron.
Rain's pinging that Baron, starts it up. His team is right around the corner. Aztor now on that one also, but watch Joachim. He's waiting around. Yameru finds the ultimate onto the wall, but doesn't find the damage to connect. And he picks up the kill onto Hoyt crucially, but Bad Habit just dashes in, donates a kill. That's going to mean the death of his mid laner also. Joachim's the only one alive. Is forced to Zhonya's, but that's surely going to be the ace there. And Haru, yeah, it's TPing in. It should be in the end of the game, yeah.
Oh, there was so much indecisiveness on Dusty's side. Adi did not know where to go. Shall he go and defend versus the Mordekaiser? Shall he go towards the Baron? There was so much back and forth. Hoyes found himself all alone between two walls versus Kiana. That was disastrous by Dusty and great for Neon because they managed to get this game to, I mean, no hassle for them and they managed to grab a quick victory. So why not? Congratulations to them.
And there it is, Neon clean sweeps Dusty off of a sloppy game number one. They clean it up a little bit for match number two, and they pull it off. Ah man, you got to give credit for the proactiveness of Rain here, and how like being down in pressure so much up there, Rain alleviating it and turning Haru into this monster split pusher who just won the X's, right? And it feels like Dusty were on the responsive throughout all of this game. They didn't have any windows to do anything apart from simply defend.
It felt weird because yes, Joachim had all of these burst damage you could use on his Gragas. You have the lockdown, you have the ability to pull somebody back into your team. But then Rain and the entire Neon team made sure that that Gragas would not get unlocked until later into the game. And up to then, they had a pretty good time with Azito kind of, farming his items into the bot side. Yamari didn't really have any problems apart from that. Just one time into the mid lane from that flash body slam. And Haru on the other side was not punished at all. He was running with actually more CS. So for Nipla to say, yeah, fine, take the Mordekaiser, I'm going to take the Gangplank this time and show you, it really didn't work because every time he was on the advantageous side, he just kept on losing. So no matter which side of the coin he was in, either the Mordekaiser or the Gangplank, he ended up losing the lane.
Poor guy. He opted into that lane also. But I mean, in theory, it can work out, right? If we treat top lane as an island, as we spoke so much about in round number two, just 5 days ago, then yeah, Kipla will have a pretty decent time. And we saw how Haru abused that lane in game number one of this match. But I mean, with all of the pressure coming in from Rain, the repeated 3 to 4 mans by Neon to shut down this top laner and tower dive over and over again, it never really stood a chance. And ending up at 4-9, I think the previous game was 2-6. It just
Yeah.
seems that Dusty's top side needs a little bit of working on, and that doesn't necessarily mean the player himself, but perhaps how they approach setting up the safety or respond to some proactiveness by their opponents.
Oh, oh,
Um,
100%. So we saw that it was very chaotic, but of course we have yet another best of three guys to go on to.
We do, and the action is not going to stop with this bloodbath of a first one. Neon 2-0's a Dusty, but we'd still have the final tribe versus MJ Esports. So you know what, guys? It's going to be a good one. It's Swedish first seed going up against Finland's first seed, a battle of the regions as we come back after a few commercials, lads. Don't miss it.